Do you want to just do dinner and actually like give me real advice and talk like as friends, or do you want to do it for content?
I'm a content driven guy. No, we can do dinner if you want. Yeah, the only problem is I wouldn't be able to do it until like next month because my kid's here until the 28th.
Oh my God.
What? Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, you can just type messages to me and I can type back. But it's probably gonna be the same shit I've said in the past. It's probably gonna be the exact same shit. But
No, it's not. It's not about that. It's more about like my perspective of whether or not like I'm not healthily thinking about things, or like I guess like I'm kind of feeling like the way that I'm thinking about things is like I'm accepting a narrative that in one sense like he's telling me I'm lying to myself because I want to believe that he didn't care about me and gave up too easily and stuff like that. And like I'm just trying to figure out like if I'm not like am I actually not thinking healthily about things for my process to like let go? Like is that an
What an
unhealthy
idiot.
way to try to let go?
mm, do you have somebody that you
It's
trust
like
to give you feedback on your thought process?
I've been talking to my therapist. That part I have, but even then like I mean that's still relatively new.
Okay. I mean, that's basically what you need. Um, is you need a friend or a therapist that you can trust to give you feedback on your thought process, who will give you honest information and not just simp for you. But this
Mhm.
requires you to also be soliciting honest information and to be receptive to honest information. Um, I don't know. I don't think we've had very many critical conversations, so I can't say. Um, but I don't. If
This
you
chick is a
are
Holocaust denier, by the
uh,
way.
cutting out people that are telling you things you don't want to hear and you're hunting for certain opinions, then you're never going to get good feedback on your thought process. And you're just going to constantly
Right.
be upset unless you're getting what you want from whoever that you're arguing with. I'm not saying that you do that. I'm just saying that that's a thing that a lot of people run into.
Right. Yeah. Cause like I wanted to rant and vent, but then I was like, that's why I told you like we could chat privately. I'd rather just message you and not do the whole
Sure.
whatever. Cause I have stuff that I actually am gonna like want to tell you and get your honest feedback, like of my actions alone, just like and how I'm like perceiving things or whatever. So like, yeah, if you're down when you're not busy, like I'll type it out. I'll make it make sense and then get your feedback that way instead of just like crying on your stream.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine. I will say that like when you write stuff down, like this is the this is the process, okay, that I would go through. All right, if I were you, okay? If you have a particular thing that you want to talk to somebody about, okay. So first you think like, okay, I want to solicit feedback from this person. I need them to talk about a particular thing. Okay. So write down your thoughts that you want feedback on, okay, from the person. Oh, I'm writing this down here. Okay. Write down your thoughts, whatever it is that you want to talk about or get feedback on. Okay. Once you've written
Mhm.
that down, all right, stop and look at it and read it and ask yourself two questions. Or it's one question, okay? What are you looking to get from asking for that feedback? Because another trap that people will fall into is like, here's two ways that a conversation could go, okay? Hey, I want to talk to you. I'm trying to get some feedback. And then person's like, okay, yeah, what's up? Okay, well, it's about my friend. Okay, yeah, talk to me. Okay, so every single time my friend comes over, he throws shit all over my fucking apartment and he takes shits in the fucking toilet and he doesn't flush and he throws stuff at my cat and he hurts my cat. And I'm upset by this. Do you think I'm right to be upset? Those types of conversations are completely unproductive and totally not helpful because all you're doing is basically ranting out a whole list of issues with the other person and you're looking for validation in your feelings.
Validation,
Yeah.
right?
There's nothing wrong with validation, but you have to understand that validation is just there to make you feel better. It can help you cope with things. It can help you, shore up like if you're like mentally distraught for a moment, or if you're having trouble accepting that you're even feeling a particular thing. Like it's okay to sit there and validate your feelings for a
Yeah,
bit,
she dated
but if don't
Snakeo.
seek critical
Imagine.
feedback from people and confuse validation with critical feedback. If you're ranting about somebody and all you're doing is giving all the bad things they've done, and you're just asking if your feelings are justified, all you're looking for is validation. That's not feedback. Yeah. If you are writing problems, ideally, once you've written it out, what you're looking for is like, hey, what are the mistakes that you think I made here, and how can I avoid these in the future? That's what you should
Hmm.
be looking for. Yeah. But usually 99% of the time, I don't know if you're going to do this, but usually what people are doing is they're looking to list problems, and they're looking for you to give them like, hey, like, what can I do to make this thing still work? Or like, I understand that these are happening, but like, this is like his problem, right? But I can change this so that we can still like work and we can still do this or whatever. Usually people are just like looking for a way back to whatever they left. And that's the only reason they're doing it.
Yeah, I feel like the thing that you just said right before that last part is close to like where my mindset keeps going to, is like constantly looking for a way to figure out how can I fix this situation, even though it's like obvious there shouldn't be a situation anymore. I shouldn't hold on to like that thought. I shouldn't want that anymore. And then I feel like, am I seeking like that validation, or like that I want the majority of people to agree with me that, oh no, I wasn't loved, therefore it makes sense for me to be like, I don't want it anymore and to move on. Versus if I accept like, oh, I was loved, then I think that hurts me more because it's like I feel like I failed at something or I did something wrong and I lost somebody that I cared about.
Make
Sure.
rapid
Okay.
fire changes, um, so that you can like move on to, or so that you can, sorry, fuck. What do you want, vegan games?
Oh, I just thought I could add to the conversation to help Xena.
Sure. Okay. Let me just finish up real quick and some random stuff. Okay. Here, when it comes to leaving past relationships, Zena, these are three broad pieces of information that I think are true for all people. Some people might disagree with me. I think those people are young or misinformed. I feel very strongly about all three things I'm about to say. Okay. So take it or leave it, but you'll never change my mind on these. Okay. So number one, okay, if you find yourself in a situation where you feel like you're the only one pouring a lot into a relationship, then it's probably not a good situation. It can't be on one person to make a relationship survive. Even if the relationship ends up working out at periods of time, nobody wants to be in a relationship where they're the only one trying. And when the relationship ever flips in terms of like you getting upset over something, you're going to constantly be in like a pursuer evader dynamic where as soon as you have a problem, the other person wants to split, meaning that you're going to be held hostage basically to their emotional whims at all points in the relationship. You're going to be on
Yeah.
their time frame, you're going to be on their emotional schedule. You're not going to be able to ever have a problem or express a concern of your own because that person's always going to ditch because they only want to be with you when you're trying like at 1,000,000% to make the relationship work. Okay? Number 1. You understand that?
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah. Okay. Don't be stuck in those situations. Okay. Number 1. Okay. Number 2 is if you find that you are pouring a ton of you're pouring a ton of work into a relationship constantly over stressing and fighting and resolving disputes and blah blah blah, but like afterwards, like things are okay. Don't do that. Like you don't want to throw so much effort into a relationship just to build it up to normal. Okay. That all that energy could be going towards making a healthy relationship so much more fun. You don't want to be dumping all of that energy just to make a relationship not want to make you kill yourself. It's such a waste of energy. There are so many more productive relationships to pour your time and energy into. Okay.
Yes.
Number 2. And then number 3, you may or may not believe this right now. I don't know. If you don't believe me now, then you can waste 10 years of your life and you'll come to learn it eventually. Okay. Personally, all right, there are no near misses ever. Near misses do not happen in relationships. If two people really want to be together and there's like a strong desire to make that happen, it will happen. Barring some exceptional circumstance, like somebody dies of cancer or people have to leave maybe for college or they get like abducted by a kidnapper. If two people really want to make a relationship work, both sides will find ways to contribute to make it work. If you're leaving this, because it usually happens when they're falling apart, especially when one person feels like they're pouring so much effort into it, usually what happens is the biggest reason you're mind fucking yourself is because you're like, fuck, like when it works, it's so good and that's fine. And like we're so close
Hmm.
to making it work and blah, 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 blah. No, that's not true. If that was the case, you should be able to leave or pull back, and the other person should chase a lot as well, not just in exceptional times where I'm loading this a lot, but sometimes
No,
people
I'm
feel like,
listening.
sure, sometimes people feel like when they're being emotional or vulnerable to a partner and they're getting a better response out of their partner, they might think that, well, when I'm showing more or when I'm making this clear, like my partner is like, he does love me and he's willing to put this, blah, blah, blah. In reality, you're probably just putting them into like appeasement mode where they're panicking and they see you having like an emotional response, like, fuck, like, okay, yeah, I love you. It's okay. We'll do this, blah, 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 whatever, blah, blah, blah. Right. So you get into this like super negative death spiral of anytime you're not like super emotional, they're not giving you exactly what you want. anytime you express a problem, they want to pull back, causing you to show more like vulnerability or big emotions, which is basically like manipulating them into coming back and appeasing you and then getting things back to neutral. This is like a death spiral that you don't want to be stuck in. So if like
Mhm.
two people like have a bunch in common or enough to like make a relationship really work, these relationships are never going to not happen just because one side just didn't push quite hard enough. They're probably not happening because there's a whole bunch of reasons why they shouldn't happen. And the only way they would ever work is if one side forces it super fucking hard, which is miserable for a whole bunch of other reasons, I would say. Those are three
And
pieces of advice that I think applies to every single like ending relationship. Basically, there are no near
mhm.
misses in relationships. Don't think of it that way. It just wouldn't. That's not the case. There's not a near miss. Otherwise, the other side would be putting way more effort in. Don't be putting all the effort into the relationship. You're just one person. Don't ever be in an unbalanced circumstance like that. It's bad for your mental health and it leads to a bunch of other external negative things happening. And don't be dumping a bunch of energy into a relationship that you're putting all this energy just to make it so you guys don't hate each other and you're bringing it like back to neutral. Don't do that either. You'd rather dump the energy into something more healthy. Those are the three things I say are generally true.
That kind of sounds exactly like what I'm feeling or going through, honestly. So I hear you.
Yeah. Well, um, talk to somebody and write. You should write down like strict like borders. I think it's good to like attach like time constraints. Like, don't say I'm not going to talk to this person anymore, and then
I
like not.
mean, that's kind of what I'm doing, and that's what he's doing, and I think he's gonna stick to that, which is good, and that's healthy. Like,
Yeah,
I
but
was
it can't
talking to
be
my
like
mom
a.
about it, and she was saying too, like, sometimes when you care about someone, you do have to walk away, especially for your own mental health. So he is making a right decision when it comes to that, so that we're not trapped in this. But like for me, obviously it's hard for me to even like get to the point where I can actually like block him. And then I get stuck in this like spiral where it's like he'll write me a big paragraph like apologetic thing and then be like, I'm blocking you so you don't have to respond. And it's like he writes all this stuff and then blocks me. And so then I'm stuck with this feeling like I have to somehow reach out because I want to reply, and I have to get rid of like not doing that. Like I have to stop not I have to stop feeling that way as well. Like I have to figure out a way that's gonna make me able to let go. And I don't want to I don't want to let go because I hate this person. So I don't. But I also do want to like think of it as honest or as real as I can, like about like you said, like if one person's putting the majority of their energy into a relationship and the other person's not, then it's just that they don't want to be together type thing.
I have some advice for you. So, I think you should adopt the philosophy of nihilism. I was actually able to cure my depression due to nihilism. It's the recognition that nothing matters. All suffering, and I'm not talking about pain, I'm talking about suffering, which is a distinct thing. Nihilism can't remove any pain. If you stub your toe, it's going to hurt, obviously. But suffering is a different thing. I think the best way I can explain it is pain is the feeling of stubbing your toe. Suffering is the mental state you get into where you are sad about stubbing your toe. You're miserating about stubbing your toe. You're asking, why the hell did this have to happen to me? Um, if you recognize that nothing matters, love doesn't matter, peace doesn't matter, happiness doesn't matter, suffering doesn't matter, your family doesn't matter, nothing matters, that allows you to make an actual conscious decision to choose your feelings. The only reason I
But if
can
nothing matters, then my feelings wouldn't matter either
That's
to
right.
choose my feelings.
Well, that's right. Your feelings don't matter. But your feelings do have a clear benefit towards you. Um, it is true that there is no value, there is no meaning, but we can say descriptively that certain feelings do have a benefit to a conscious being. Feeling happy has a benefit to a conscious being. That's a
Mhm.
descriptive claim. If you recognize that nothing matters, no people in your life matter, life is just, it's really just a stupid game. what is the point of miserating about anything? What is the point about saying, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? Why are they treating me this way? It's an acceptance of the state of reality, and it's also a recognition that you can choose to feel a certain way. Like, let me give you an example. I'm sure you've seen like channels on Reddit like r/public freakout. You'll see arguments people are having where they're ridiculous arguments, road rage, and you laugh at it. It's funny. Why is it funny? It's because you're not a part of the problem, and when you take a look back and you can see this whole circumstance, there's no reason why they're fighting. They could have just gone about their day and nothing happened and everybody would have been happy, but they choose to have the stupid, pointless argument, and here you are laughing about it. But for some reason, when something like that happens to you, where somebody cuts you off, you pull over, you'll start screaming, you'll start getting angry. There's no difference between these two situations, but you've actually made a conscious decision to make it matter. It matters that you're in the right. It matters that that person cut you off. You did nothing wrong. It matters what that person feels. You have to convince them that they're in the wrong. And that's creating the suffering. If you would, like, you can look at all these interactions kind of like rain hitting the water. Rain will hit the water and it will cause ripples. These ripples will interact with other ripples, and you'll see this massive amount of turbulence in the water. What is stopping you from just being a rock in the water where ripples just bounce off of? If you could have an outlook on life where you could just look at these, like every circumstance that's happening to you, you had an outlook on life the same way as when you look at these like Reddit posts on r/freakout. If you had that same mentality, none of this matters. This argument is
But
pointless.
then,
It's all stupid. You can just choose to
so
laugh
then
at it.
why does eating meat matter?
Well, I'm not saying it does matter. I have a certain set of preferences that I would prefer to see in the world, but I'm not making a claim that it matters. I'm just saying that I have a certain set of preferences that I'd like to see. And I'm and nihilism doesn't mean that you don't have certain preferences. You're going to have a preference to sleep in a warm bed versus a cold floor.
Well, I feel
Because
like
you
it would be more
choose.
of a feeling because you're
Sorry?
pretty passionate. Not
Okay,
like
wait,
not
hold
even
on,
trying
wait.
to
Before
say
we go to,
something.
okay, wait, hold on,
Well,
because
we
I
shouldn't
don't.
we
Wait,
shouldn't
wait,
get
wait,
into
real
this
quick.
argument because this
Yeah,
is
well,
an
I don't want to do the whole
important.
big thing.
We
This,
shouldn't get
Yeah,
in.
it's not gonna
wait,
get
as
into
a quick
that.
thing, because I don't have much time left. Okay, because just as a quick thing. Okay, and then you guys can hash as much as you want to talk about nihilism. Okay,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
Cena, the way that you phrase things and the way that you talk, um, this is an impossible thing to communicate because it's an emotional hurdle that you have to jump over. Is when you're talking about working on yourself or responding to things, okay, you cannot orient yourself emotionally through space and time like you're doing things with the goal or purpose of getting back together with the old relationship. That can't be the case because you're
Mhm.
setting yourself up for destruction and you are not setting yourself up for success in any future interaction. So, for instance, if you're like, after a relationship like this fails, the thought should be, what kind of energy am I putting out and why am I entering relationships that aren't working for me? Like, what do I need to change? And then you
Yeah.
make those changes. It shouldn't be, if I make these changes, I can make that old relationship work again. Because when you say things like, well, if he sends me a message and blocks me, I have like a compulsion to go and message him on other platforms. Like, that doesn't sound like, oh, I'm over this and I'm good. That sounds like if I just can argue this one point successfully, if I can just get this one thing like correct, like he'll see that I'm right and then he'll put in effort and make this work and blah 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 blah. And that's
Yeah,
not.
that's my problem.
Well, look, this like I'm explaining the root of the problem. The solution to this is nihilism. She's looking at things with this lens that all these things matter. Her relationship with this specific person matters. Things have to work out in a certain way. If you recognize that none of this matters, you can make a conscious choice and make decisions that just benefit you.
Yeah, that might be the case, but I think this is like a whole change philosophically in mindset.
Yeah,
That's
and it's
gonna.
probably too much for me to like
Well,
really
it's something that you have to work
process
on.
or understand at this point.
Well, it's
But
I
something
think
that
like
you
I
have
don't
to
my
think it's
work
issue
on
is
fine.
over
more
time.
so what
wouldn't recommend
Destiny
like
said. It is very much that issue. Exactly what he said is spot on. Everything Destiny said is
and
spot on. I do get to that point where I'm like, if I could argue this or make this point, then I could fix everything and restore what I've wanted.
Well,
And
right.
that's the point that I'm trying to get rid of. I'm trying to get past that point.
Yeah.
I'm at this stage where, for example, the loss of this relationship affects me and hurts me, and I feel pain for it. And then it hurts me when I feel like the person that I'm losing does not feel that pain and is not suffering in the way that I am suffering. And
Yeah.
so
And it
then I
doesn't
get in this
matter.
loop where it's like, can I fix this? Can I make this person still
Right.
care about
And
me?
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. And if you would
Well, but it does. It does
internalize,
matter. It does
no, it
emotionally. It
doesn't.
has an impact. It does to the person emotionally, right? They can't choose to just
And
not have that emotional
well,
feeling.
no,
It's
you
like a
can.
I,
whole.
and
It
I've been
absolutely
diagnosed with
can.
bipolar type 1 and I'm unmedicated.
Right. And I'm telling you, if you use these mindfulness techniques and you internalize nihilism, you can eliminate all of the suffering from your life. Like, look, somebody can tell you that, okay, this is exactly what you should do. You should stop messaging this person. You should just never make sure that they never message you or you never look at their messages. It doesn't solve the problem of your mindset that is creating the issue, and it's never going to be solved unless you fundamentally change that mindset. So, like, it doesn't matter. And I don't think you could make an argument for why it matters. It's impossible. The only truth is nihilism, and
Emotional
it
and
doesn't
chemical
matter.
emotional attachment, chemical brain makeup, like that's why it technically matters. I understand like what you're saying philosophically, like in the end none of this matters. We're all going to die and this is all just going to be a distant memory nobody's ever going to remember. I get that. But in this moment, I am here, I am conscious, I'm a human being, I have a lot of emotions, and I have a chemical imbalance in my brain. I have bipolar type 1 and ADHD. So for me, it matters, and it matters a lot.
Two things to point out here. Um, you're not a slave to the chemistry in your brain. You can find associations between certain brain states and certain emotions, but they're not perfect associations. There are people with very low serotonin activity in their brain, which should correlate to depression, but they're massively happy. There's something about consciousness that is not necessarily a slave to some sort of chemical state in the brain. There are clearly different mindsets and attitudes that you can adopt that prevent those feelings. Secondly, I don't think you can even characterize bipolar disorder as a chemical imbalance in the brain. That could be caused by a number of things. That could be caused by poor upbringing, where you're never taught how to emotionally regulate. There could be a number of causes. And again, you're only exacerbating the problem by convincing yourself there's no way I can think any differently. There absolutely is a way for you to think differently, and it's something that you have to work on. Like, how are you benefiting yourself by, like if Destiny were to tell you, okay, well, there's no way you're ever going to get over this person. There's no way you're never going to be able to block this person. It's just your brain chemistry that's imbalanced. There's no way you can ever think differently. So you should just continue to pursue this person, keep trying to make the relationship work, because there's some sort of brain chemistry that will forever link you to this person and you'll never be able to get over them. Like, is that going to help you? Or do you
I think what
recognize
Destiny was saying was valid in the sense of he wasn't saying it was necessarily the person, but more so my own inner issues that I'm dealing with. It's my own denial of my own self worth. That's the struggle. It's not necessarily the lack of the other person or what they did or didn't do. It's more so what I felt I needed for me. So it's inner. It's all about, like, it is about what my inner issues is and what I'm struggling with for my own self value and what I feel I lacked. And that's where the issues are coming from.
well,
Okay.
right.
So it's not
Wait.
about,
Okay, wait, hold on. Also, listen, if you want to talk to her afterwards about all this, you can do that. I don't know much time left, and I gotta run through my shit real quick. Okay,
Yeah,
but then
sure.
afterwards,
If
you
you
can
could
mess with
finish
her. Yeah,
reacting to the video.
I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah. All right, take care.
Okay. Yep.
I think I blocked Xena because I didn't want to talk to her anymore.
What's your opinion on free will? Do we have free will? If no, why?
I'm agnostic on free will. I'm leaning towards thinking free will likely exists. but there are rarely any opportunities where we actually express free will. Thanks for the donation, Snowflake.
Can be exposed to, there's perceptions that you can have, okay, that will induce huge emotions in your brain, okay? Anything having to do with the person you're trying to get over. So that might be them messaging you. It might be seeing their stream go live and you get a notification. It might be seeing somebody else bring their name up. These are things that will induce a massive emotional response in you. It always does when you're like in the process of separating from somebody, okay? Number one, that's important to keep in mind, okay? Do not ever bullshit yourself into thinking that you are in direct control of how you emotionally respond to things. You are not. That is a delusion. And if you think that, you will never, ever, 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 ever get better at ever emotionally regulating yourself ever. Humans cannot do that, okay? What you can do is you can change the way that you respond to those feelings, and you can change the way that you, or you can change your exposure to those feelings, okay? So what you should do is if you're trying to separate from somebody, okay, what you should do is one is you should legitimately block everything and don't like have a compulsion. Don't have a compulsion. Stop responding to messages. Stop trying to justify or argue anything. Stop sending emails. Stop stalking on social media, whatever. So try to cut off as much content as you can. Okay. Number one. Okay. But understand that number two, you're going to have a compulsion to do it. You're going to want to do it. Okay. Right now, when you sound like you are of a sober state of mind, you sound like you're reasonable, you sound like you do it. Okay. Have a friend that you write to, have somebody that can hold you accountable, message that person and say, fuck me.
Destiny's chat is fucking stupid.
I feel like he just went live. I think I want to go and watch.
I was saying some extremely useful shit and nobody wanted to fucking listen. Why is Vegan Gains nihilist and concerned with promoting and practicing a lifestyle that respects animal rights? Can you please explain to me how that is in conflict with nihilism? That's just a stupid question.
The case that somebody tells you, man, when I broke up with my partner and everything, and oh god, it was so horrible and painful after 2 weeks, and then after 3 weeks it got real bad. No, it's always the worst right at the start when you realize that it's happened and it's over or whatever, and from there it only gets better. But every single time you re-engage, you're resetting your emotional counter every single time. So if it's really bad for a week, and then 2 weeks, and then in the third week it's kind of better, and then the fourth week it's a little better, and then after like 6 weeks, you're like, oh, I'm going to chat with them again or whatever. When you chat with them again, you're going back to day zero every single time. That is unavoidable. That only changes after you're completely over it. Not in 6 weeks, not in 2 months, not when you think you've changed to a level, well, now he'll accept, but when you're like, I don't even know. The true marker, I'll tell you this, but you have to be able to not bullshit yourself when you think about this. The true marker is you should be able to say in your mind, if this person would have messaged me again and say, hey, I think I want to try again, would I immediately jump to them, or would I say, I don't know, let me think about it? Until you can honestly answer in the latter, you're not ready to re-engage with this person. Okay. So that's the first thing. Okay. So understand, that you are going to have stupid, crazy emotional responses to things. You can't control it. Don't bullshit yourself into thinking it. Find a friend to hold you accountable. Okay. Message that friend when you have those things and don't act on those compulsions. Every single time you act on the compulsion, you're resetting yourself to day zero, and you're going to loop this over and over and over and over and over again. Okay. And what you have to do also, okay, is you right now, okay, you have to write this down right now to do it. Okay. Because when you are in a certain emotional state of mind, you can bullshit yourself into literally fucking anything. Okay. No matter what, if you don't have a plan prior to a certain emotional state, you will tell yourself lies to convince you that it's okay. I can just watch this one stream. It's not going to be a big deal. I'm not even paying attention right now. I've got something else going on in the background. I can message this person. Like, we've got mutual friends anyway. It's fine. Like, you will always find reasons to bullshit yourself, to do the thing that you want to do for other reasons. Then yes. Okay. So, and then the final thing I would recommend, okay, is if you fuck up, okay, every time you fuck up, write down how you feel after you fuck up. And anytime you successfully avert giving into one of those compulsions, write down how you feel after a compulsion. Because if you don't have a friend that you can message, or if you don't have somebody to hold you accountable, sometimes it's nice to open like a notepad on your computer and you're like, fuck, I really want to look. Okay, well, the last 10 times I messaged this guy or did this, I can see that every single fucking time afterwards for the next like 3 days, I'm a fucking mess. And here I've got on this notepad, every single time I went out for drinks, I hung out with a friend, I played a video game, I watched a movie, on all of these, on every single one, I felt better afterwards. Because I'm telling you, you will every single time. It might not emotionally feel that way, but that is what will happen. Every single time, there is never, ever, ever in the history of all of fucked relationships has somebody said, yeah, when I started to get over that person, there was one time where like their thing popped up and I wanted to check their post and I didn't end up checking their post and I watched a movie instead. And afterwards I realized like, fuck, I should have been obsessing over my ex instead. I fucked up. So that will never, ever, ever happen to you. Okay. Those are the
Right.
things that I would, that's what I would say. You either implement these or you don't. If you don't, you will loop and lap
No, I
this,
want to
and you will be
implement them.
45 years old, and you will have the exact same problem, and you'll cry because you haven't fixed it, and this will continue to happen forever. That's at the end of the day, you're the only one that can make the decision, but you have to like implement the tools. You have to do the tools, okay? Because your brain is fucking retarded.
I'm
All of
debating
life,
the guy that
all
claimed
of life,
nihilism
the
is in
smartest people on
conflict
the
with
planet,
veganism.
okay?
Okay, my
The
bad.
only reason why they're smarter than other people is because they are aware of how horrible their mind is, okay? And all they've done is they spent all this time in the world putting themselves in the right environments, giving themselves the right people.
Dude, it's so stupid, dude. I'm basically giving the same advice. Destiny, it's just that it doesn't change the fundamental belief and behavior. Destiny's telling her, oh, don't look at the like message this guy sends you. Just delete it and go watch a movie. How is that any different than, practicing the belief of nihilism that nothing matters and you just choose to not look at the message because you know it doesn't benefit you? Like these people don't fucking get it. Like the fundamental issue is people delude themselves into thinking there's meaning. If you reject, okay, wait, and Hamas also uses buildings, so did the Nazis.
I forgot that's where they're forging aluminum. You're right. You
So,
fucking weird.
so
You're a
if
weirdo.
so,
You care more about chicken and my
can
chicken
you
coop.
can you let me finish, please?
I think you have finished, but you can go.
No.
Yeah, I think I'm out finished, but
So
you can go.
if we look at the civilian to fighter casualty ratios with the Israel invasion of Gaza, you're seeing risk ratios between 26 to about 47. That is well outside.
Why are we?
Do you know the difference?
I think you just wanted to watch this
between
guy
normal
explode.
and normalized?
What do you mean by that?
Well, these numbers, you're going to tell me that the civilian death counts, by the way, that Israel is giving you, by the way, without digging up the people that are under 17 tons of rubble that won't be found for months, right? But we're trusting those Israeli numbers, right?